Hello. For my workshop, what I normally do, I start by telling the children a story. Sometimes an animal story, stories that have been told when I was little by my grandmother or my mother. And then, because I like in my workshop for children to interact with me and bring their own ideas about how they think the story will end. So I don't finish a story. I just start it and I stop in the middle. And I can see them, all the hands going up, and they can bring their own idea of how they think the story should end. And they could even write about theirs. So before they know it, they're already writing. So for my workshop, as well as doing that, after I finish telling stories, I tend to show them my pad. I know you can't see very much from this because of the light, you can see, but I tend to write down very quickly what my ideas are, and then I go on the computer and then I write them down, but you can see some mistakes. You can see some mistakes because I struggle too with writing. Yes, and perhaps because I'm so impatient, I want to tell the story. And of course, I stumble on the sentences and they're clumsy and someone may not understand what I'm talking about. So I go over it with a pencil and rubber and things like that to correct some of the mistakes. So, and also to tell them that it's a process. It takes ages. And like I said, I always encourage children to be giving a feedback immediately. They can even create their own characters for my own stories. And from there on, immediately, we are all talking about different aspects of the stories. I like to hear the children's voices about the stories I've told them. And in the workshop, I like their contribution. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for me to keep talking about my own work. Anyway, so what I do, like I said, I will do the workshop according to the age groups. For instance, if they're little, I tell them a story, get them to illustrate the characters they like in the story and to read my books. And if they're older children, maybe year 4, year 3 upwards, I will start with a story and let them finish the ending of it. And also, if some children are struggling, I always encourage them to illustrate their story because they could use the illustrations to describe what is going on in the story. As long as the child writes, even if it's one sentence, because I know they will go on to write more rather than not write. If they're struggling with writing, why don't they do illustrations? Because as a photographer as well, I think visually, I think using images first when I'm creating a story. So it's quite nice to have maybe the drawing first and then the story comes. So, but I always try to tell them there's no wrong or right answer about writing a story. It's to make someone understand what you're talking about. Thank you.